Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I would jump straight in with checking out an interview with Louis speaking about the new record. I kind of do want to check them all out, but, you know, I've got other things that I want to react to. Is Faith in the Future being one of them, you know. But I'm really interested to hear what he's got to say about it. I have listened to it again, and it's a really good album, isn't it, really? It's tight, you know. There's maybe a couple of songs on there that I think, you know, are a bit weak, but on the whole, man, it's really cool, isn't it? And I guess it's kind of a shame that I haven't got the knowledge of Faith in the Future, you know, before going into this one. I have just been looking at, you know, the track listing, though, on YouTube Music and on Wikipedia, and there seems to be a few different versions, you know, not just with extra tracks, but the order of track listing. Does anybody know, you know, what's that about, or which is seen as the definitive one? Which one should I be listening to, you know? If you could let me know that would be awesome, and then I'll check it out soon. But in the meantime, let's check out what he's got to say about this record to Zane.
Welcome back to Los Angeles.
Thank you.
Do you like it here?
I like it here. I mean,
your voice went up a little.
yeah,
It's
I'm not very good at bullshitting, really.
Please don't.
Look, I spend a lot of time here because my son lives out here. Well, he lives in Ventura, actually.
Yeah.
So I've been spending a lot of time here for a while.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those places you need your clique, really.
You need your roots.
Yeah, I'm only ever really here for Freddie, so it's not somewhere
Feels
that's
like a
like
bit of a tourist.
is an overly social place for me. It's like this is where I'm full-time dad, basically, which
How
is
old is your boy
lovely.
now?
10.
Wow, congrats.
10,
Wow.
about to be 10 in 2 days.
What's he into? Without putting his biz in the streets, what does he love?
Love surfing. Nothing's come close to surfing.
he's in the
I've
right
tried to
path.
push him into football a little bit, you know, gently.
Yeah.
But he doesn't seem overly bothered about that. Surfing's his thing. We went to Disney yesterday to celebrate his birthday, which was an
Nice.
experience. That was fun. It's been a while since I've been.
Experience.
Yeah.
No shade. There's never any shade at Disney.
No shade. But
On
it
a
was
hot
good
day.
fun.
No, but I mean no shade, but also no shade. On a hot day.
Right, yeah.
On a
yeah.
hot, not to
Yeah,
keep it
very
like,
modern,
you know,
yeah.
not to keep it modern and
Yeah, I like that. Very
vernacular.
Gen Z, yeah.
Yeah. But actually no shade. Like I noticed at Disneyland that on a hot day it's tough.
It is, yeah, it was very, very
It's a
hot. I actually
cracking.
felt pretty bad.
It's on a different note, I guess. I love these more recent Zane interviews that he does in the studio, you know, where the album covers on in the background. It helps a lot, but I think it's a fantastic album cover, isn't it? You know, just the colours and the richness. It really looks like the album sounds, if you know what I mean.
One of the first rides that we went on, my son, I do encourage him to be brave. I do hope that he is brave. And he was well up for getting on the first roller coaster, and it was one of the Space Mountain, one of the more scary ones.
Yeah.
So we started there, and I was thinking, well, listen, if he could do this, he'd probably do anything on the park. Which was probably quite naive parenting. And I learned the hard way on that. And honestly, I was absolutely mortified. We went on one of those, do you know those like big dropper ones, like Tower of Terror?
You just graduated him to the fucking free faller.
Yeah. And he was like, at first he was like, yeah, I'm up for it. And then the first time it dropped,
Yeah.
Screaming his head off, I
seemed a
bet.
little bit scared. And then I had to then try and comfort him while also having my breath taken away. That was quite intense. But it was a great day.
We don't know what we're doing as parents. You know, we're just making it up.
You live
doing
and
our
learn,
best. We're
don't
doing
you?
our bit.
I remember screaming in my head off as probably a 7-8-year-old on the teacups that were just going too fast for me, man. Like, I've never really been that much of a big fan of rides. Although Oblivion at Alton Towers, I think it lasted like 7 seconds or 9 seconds or something, but that was pretty awesome.
Exactly.
Well, congratulations, man. You built a beautiful life for yourself.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
You know, you've got some really great mature foundations now, you know, being a parent, family, whatnot. And you're still getting to build out this wonderful dream of being an artist and follow through on that thing that grabbed you when you were a kid. How old were you when you realized it wasn't just a passing love of music or something you wanted to absorb? You wanted to be in it. You wanted to participate.
Yeah, it was late for me. Probably 'cause I got put in the band when I was 18. I auditioned when
I was about to say that. I was about to answer the question for me, you know, and I was going to say it was late for me. I think I was like 15, maybe when I got a guitar, and I think I was probably 17 or 18 when I sort of realised this is for me, you know. Before that, I was really into playing a lot of football and stuff, you know, and then that was pretty important. And then, yeah, I guess by the time I was sort of 17, 18, I just lost interest in football. I was never that good anyway, you know. I think I probably could have, you know, been like low. I mean, soccer if you're an American, but I think I had I played as a goalkeeper, and I was playing in men's teams when I was about 15. So I think I could have been like low-level professional, you know, like made a career out of it, you know. I wouldn't have been on the big money or playing in the big leagues, certainly, you know. I wasn't tall enough for one, but anyway, yeah, music just took hold of me, you know.
I was 18 for the X Factor, so it was probably like 17. I'd just done a school production. It's the first time I'd done anything like that. It was great.
It is interesting.
Did we speak about that last time?
Maybe.
I think they did, because I think I spoke about it the last time. Man, I'd forgot a little bit, I guess, but I think we've got a lot of similarities, me and Lovey. But I was in Greece at school also. I think that might have been something, you know, the performance aspect. Maybe that, you know, got in me a little bit as well.
A little bit, but
Maybe.
I'm still surprised by the fact that you pulled out a bow and arrow, just decided to take on archery and got a bullseye on the first fucking go. You wanted to become a musician at 17 and joined One Direction at 18.
Yeah, that kind of worked out for me. Yeah, where I grew up in Doncaster, we've actually got Youngblood now, who's also from Doncaster, but there wasn't a lot of stories like that, you know, inspiring stories. So it was never really on my radar. I mean, the first time I really took it seriously was going to audition for the show, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did all right.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
And that brings us to new history, this brand new album, man. You know, it is a leading question. I mean, how did I get here? We did talk about that. We talked about the multiple meanings of what that can mean. What does it mean to you today?
It's a statement.
It's a great multiple meaning title, isn't it? It reminds me of Robbie Williams' title, I've Been Expecting You. Was that what it was called?
Of all, I'm not interested in answering the question. The first couple of years, once I'd kind of been, you know, doing this job, I think I was probably a bit more interested in answering that question. But after years and years of trying, there is no answer to it. You know, I think it's so out of the ordinary what I do, and especially, as I said, the place that I come from. There's not loads of these stories to kind of look to.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking around, open arms, like, you know, how the fuck did I get here? How did we get here? Me and my fans, you know. It's yeah. So then it's just basically gratitude, I suppose. That's the feeling that I was thinking
important,
about.
Yeah, well, the cover, the artwork, I'm assuming that was shot in Costa Rica while you were out there recording?
It actually wasn't.
Certainly not Doncaster.
No, it's certainly not Donny, no. Although looks as overgrown as some parts might be. To be fair, that was in, I want to say, somewhere in France. Okay. Can't remember off the top of my head, but we wanted it to basically look like Costa Rica. I'd already been to Costa Rica at this point, so I wanted to have that kind of feel. I think the filter does a bit of heavy lifting as well.
It's nice. It's a nice filter. It's a powerful image, man. You know, you look like you're relinquishing some control. You know, it doesn't look like, you know, you're walking away from something. It looks like you're walking towards something.
That's nice, yeah. I like that. I also wanted,
that's cool.
My last couple of records have been very... It's a little bit like those old family photos you used to go for in the 90s,
right.
You know, like really kind of prim and proper. You sat on a stool, it's like front and centre.
Right.
I'd done that for the previous two records, and yeah, I wanted to have the whole thing. I wanted to feel a little bit more cinematic, that it had a little bit more of a world behind it. So that's been fun. That's something that I haven't really done before. Try and, you know, just add more and more detail to the music as well, you know.
You made a really lovely statement about this record. You honored the music by saying you feel like it's the album that you deserve to make, the album that you've always kind of wanted to get there. You could look at it on a timeline and be like, well, what took you so long? But I think that's a totally fair amount of time, because if you think about it, you made your first album in 2020. You took your time. Mm-hmm. You really took your time. You know, you gave music and showed people what you were thinking at the time. Here's a song. Here's what my spirit is. Here's what my spirit is. Here's what my spirit is. Was it by design to take so long?
It wasn't. It wasn't by choice, and it wasn't. I mean, choice maybe. But I certainly at that time would have hoped for things to happen a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was like 24, 25, just left the band. And, you know, who you are as an artist, it's like a metaphor for who you are as a person, really. You're still working a lot of that out.
What is life?
Yeah, and, you know, I had it was obviously, I loved every second in One Direction, but there was lots of growing up that I had to do post that, you know, because we didn't, you know, often people would be there to help us with many things. And actually claiming your independence was another thing that was another mission of mine post One Direction that took a bit of time. I had some stuff going on with me family life as well, some tough stuff to deal with.
It's a great line. I think you should never do anything for anybody that they can do for themselves, because it's a form of theft. And I think maybe that applies, I guess, to maybe, people as they get older, maybe applies to your children, as much as you're going to want to do things for your children and stuff, I guess. But I think we quite often stick. It's a fine line, I suppose, isn't it? But you know what I mean? I think it's a good thought to bear in mind, to prepare your children for life and stuff, and not to make, the your elderly relatives deteriorate any quicker. Because what we don't use, what we don't do, atrophies, doesn't it,
So it was one of those things. I remember being really frustrated at the time, but I'm thankful to have that time now. I'm thankful that I gave myself that time and didn't overly rush into anything. Truthfully, when I listen back to Walls, it probably could have taken another year, that first record. It's indecisive. As a record, I...
What do you hear that's so decisive about it from an artist's point of view?
I just think... Listen... My fans hate it when I badmouth me old stuff.
You can critique your own work entirely.
Right. Walls was it lacked a bit of identity. It didn't really. At that point, I wasn't brave enough to say, here are all my alternative influences, because I'd just come out of a really pop band. So I wasn't brave enough to kind of make those choices yet.
You felt like the tail was wagging the dog a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. And also, every session I was getting in, I was getting pulled to a certain direction of, no pun intended, to how they wanted me to be in sound. And, when you're going out on your own and you don't have any experience like that, you do... Doesn't matter how opinionated you are, you do rely on people around you to help, fill out the puzzle. And I think sometimes I was maybe getting pulled in the wrong direction a little bit on that first record. I think I just hadn't worked out who I was as an artist, or even who I really wanted to be, I don't think.
I think it's a really unique and could be a challenging situation also to leave an environment where you have really strong relationships with this 5 of you, and then you all decide to go your separate ways. And then how do you not look left and right every now and then and think like, well, they're already running and they've got an album out and what's going on? And, were there moments where you sort of felt a little frozen, like, shit, like, I need this to be right before I even do this?
It felt more like, honestly, like I was just, there was a time where I was just treading water or sprinting on the spot and not really moving anywhere. There was definitely a lot of like passion and like intention behind what I was doing, but it was just, the whole thing was such a jumble and such a turbulent time in my life for so many different reasons. Yes. And then where I got to in Faith in the Future, I felt that did feel like it knew who it was and it had a stronger identity. And
it definitely stood out amongst the albums of your peers and your friends. You definitely were like, that's Louis.
I hope so. Those things, like growing up in the north of England and having those slightly more alternative references were always an important part for me, even in the band. But there's still an element of it kind of being dumbed down, because you kind of just go with the crowd a little bit, especially when you're in you're in a band. And also, like great alternative music sometimes can be a pretentious space. So when you come from one direction and make the music that you should not be making, it sometimes, from a confidence level, it takes a bit of balls to do that.
It does, for sure. And I can see why there might be some concern, some imposter syndrome there coming from one room to another. None of that on this record whatsoever. It really glides, man.
Oh, thank you, man.
It really glides.
Thank you.
Just before you came in, I was playing Sunflowers. It's a breeze of a record, dude. It's the kind of song that feels like it's written itself. And I know that that's probably a little out of your comfort zone, but it anchors the album.
Sunflowers was a really, really interesting moment in the process, because at this point, I think we'd done about a third of the record, maybe half of the record. And that was a song that I was like late to the session that day. Maybe I just like woke up late or something. They'd already started on this little idea, and they had a couple of references that really would make this story more interesting if I could remember them, that I can't.
Give us a location though. Where were you?
It was in London.
Oh, it's a UK one.
It was in the UK, and it was basically longing for Costa Rica. Costa Rica was already booked at this point. We knew we were going to go there.
Yeah.
So it was kind of written with that feeling of I struggled with that little writing session. We did 4 or 5 days, and my head was in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
I was just so excited to get there. I had this whole vision in my head of what it was going to bring to the project and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But once we'd written Sunflowers, it felt like we'd opened a different pocket or another area to the record sonically that we hadn't done yet. And Lazy was written the next day, and those two always kind of sat next to each other for me. And Sunflowers, again, one of those moments where, you know, the songs like Palaces that I would have always hoped would have been on this record. Before I started making this record, never in a million years would have imagined a Sunflowers. It's quite a different kind of stoner kind of space, you know? It's got that kind of feel to it.
It's a lot of space for you to try to overcompensate or underserve. And what's beautiful about it, because the music and the arrangement and the song knows itself so well. It's not pushing anything. And it's beautiful hearing you sit in that space.
Yeah, I mean, musically, you know, I can't take all the credit for that. Nika Ribsha, who has produced the whole record, just been such an amazing, you know, it's so fulfilling to be around these people. Because, like, I don't, you know, I'm not a student at music. I'm all feel, right? You know, I'd fail a music test miserably. But being around that kind of genius, and he's just got this like kind of wacky, off the wall nature to him, and you can almost hear that in the way that he produces, just added so much value and depth to the record. I'm really thankful for that, you know.
I wonder what it does. I don't know this dude who is mentioned. Has he produced anything else that we would know? Does anybody know?
Yeah. How did you find out what you wanted to say on this record? When did you realize that, you know, you had something you wanted to say? Because people can make music and fill the gaps, no problem. But, you know, you want it, if you're a feel guy, then you got to feel what you're singing.
Yeah, I spend all my life feeling and often in my head like that. The intention with this record was to be a better reflection of my personality. Because in the past, especially the first two records or parts of those first two records, they're quite gloomy and it's quite dark. It's quite emotionally heavy. It's not really how I live my life. You know, like I've had some tough things to deal with, but I'm a glass half full kind of guy. And there's always kind of some kind of positive punchline, even in the darkest time. And I just wanted to, I feel like I'd got the emotional weight on the previous records, but not quite found the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's kind of what this record really was about. Because I feel really, really good in myself, personally, professionally. And it's nice to feel like this, you know. It's an obvious thing to say, but especially professionally, it's such a high pressure job, and to actually be enjoying it, you know, that's probably the reason why I started doing it.
Does it feel like the first time in your career, this is lofty, but where you feel like the decision to carry on, to make music, to be an artist is entirely yours? And it's not beholden to how successful you are, whether the fans still love you or whether the industry gives a shit. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. Yeah, it's a astute thing to say, because that definitely was I wanted to kind of claim some of that back and those feelings and those emotions and my intention for doing everything. You know, my fans know I'm so grateful for them, and I always thank them as often as I can. But yeah, you know, I wanted to try and, that's why I took some time over this record, because often I'm in this pressure cooker of, you know, we've got to deliver the record around this kind of time. It was nice to take the time and to have room to be able to make mistakes and find the edges of the record. Cool. I found that really fulfilling. It's the first time, truthfully, making my own record where I've kind of really enjoyed the process start to finish. Because previously, as I said, it's just, there's a time restraint and there's pressure, and have we got the single? And, you know, there was just a different kind of momentum with this record that I felt really lucky for. I think that also is because we were a small team, really small team that we worked with.
Easy to be free, move with freedom when there's not a lot of people around you pushing and pulling, huh?
Absolutely. But also people that were willing to really build me up, fill me full of so much confidence. Nika Ribsha produced the record, and we've got Dave Gibson, Dave Snedden, Theo Hutchcraft.
Oh, yeah, Dave Snedden.
Joe
Did he write? He was in Fame Academy years ago, wasn't he? Stop Living the Lie, that was one of his tunes. And did he work with Louis on Faith in the Future as well?
Matty Wang, one last name, Rob Harvey. That was it. That was literally it. So that's the first time where I'd had such a small team as well, and it felt a bit like a band, you know. That's kind of what I've always
Rob
been
Harvey
chasing.
from the north of England.
Yeah, man, you know Rob.
Harvey from the music.
Yes, yeah. I love Rob. And
Love
he's
Rob.
some writer, you know.
Yeah, I
some
remember the
writer.
music.
What a vibe machine.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. Really cool guy as well. Very, very northern. Very cool.
Were you around when the music were happening? First time around when they came out?
I knew the name, and like he'd mentioned it in a couple of sessions, and then like after like the third time working with him, I was like, maybe I should go check this out. His hair, it's like mad. It's cool.
Man, they just came out. They were young, and they came out, and the racket they made, and it was psychedelic. It was,
And his
when was
vocal,
that?
man.
2004,
Yeah.
I mean, because the
maybe?
band made such a racket that he had to anchor these songs, and he had this
Yeah,
power to his
powerful.
voice, high and
stuff.
powerful.
And when he sings high, it's like a really angelic tone.
Yeah,
amongst,
yeah.
I thought it was really cool, but no, I missed that at the time. But
They called themselves the music.
Yeah.
They're fucking nuts on these guys.
yeah, that's funny.
Teenagers.
Yeah.
What are you going to call yourselves? The music.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here with that.
Yeah,
so
I rate
good.
that. I rate that. That's young energy, innit?
It's so good. I mean, it's great that you find your people and you get to do that, and it's also great you get to decide where to do it. I mean, music studios are beautiful things. Long may they continue. Open more. But if and when you can in your life, if you're a career artist, go to Costa Rica or somewhere nice. Do it, right? At least once.
Absolutely. I mean, look, when I was a young lad.
Thanks for watching. If you would like access to the full thing and loads of other extended content, Taylor Swift, One Direction, Miley Cyrus, videos of me playing my songs and others, link in description.